The gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Gottheimer, who is also the Vice Chair of the Subcommittee on National Security, International Development, and Monetary Policy, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for convening this hearing. Since 2019, I have raised concern about the Securities and Exchange Commission's approach to digital assets. SEC Chairman Gensler has repeatedly claimed that most cryptocurrencies are covered by existing securities laws. Despite that, the SEC has not proposed a single rule to create guardrails for digital assets and has done a haphazard job of overseeing the space. The result has been a lack of certainty and clear rules of the road, and we are seeing the impact of that front and center today. They failed to do their job, and they failed to protect consumers, in my opinion. I've been calling on with other members on financial regulators to step up and create clear guardrails for digital assets. Nearly a year ago, I drafted the Stablecoin Innovation and Protection Act to create tough consumer protections and prevent destabilizing runs like we saw with the so-called stablecoin Terra that failed earlier this year. I also invited Chairman Rosenbaum to my district to discuss the clear regulatory steps the CFTC could take to better protect consumers and prevent thieves and snake oil salesmen from ripping off Americans with worthless digital assets. I've consistently been engaging with all market participants, associations, and regulators to promote innovation and the responsible development of promising financial technology, all with a clear eye to protect consumers. Instead of writing clear rules and guidelines for digital asset firms, however, the SEC has created a patchwork of ad hoc policies for crypto firms purely through spotty enforcement actions and random letters, haphazard enforcement that has missed the worst offenders. You can't regulate through a random patchwork of letters. You have to write clear rules of the road, which is what I've been calling on for years now. Chairman Gensler has told our committee and stated publicly that he has the authority he needs to oversee this industry. Yet the SEC hasn't written rules and has failed to foresee and prevent disasters in the industry and protect consumers, from Terra Luna to FTX. It's time for the SEC to step up and do its job, or another regulator should take the lead. Mr. Ray, thank you for being here. Do you think U.S. financial regulators would have been satisfied with the accounting and risk mitigation practices that were in place at FTX International to prevent its failure from spilling over to FTX US and American investors?
As I said on the record, I can't, speak to what the regulatory fix is here. Obviously, oversight is needed. Obviously, we customers have to have control over their accounts, and clearly there's some needs here. I can't really specify what they might be, and I leave that to the committee to obviously work with the agencies to.
FTX's group's U.S.-based crypto derivatives and clearing platform LedgerX, that has been overseen by the CFTC since 2017, was not included in FTX's wider bankruptcy filing, and according to your initial review of the situation, LedgerX is still solvent. During his testimony before the Senate Agriculture Committee last week, Chairman Benham argued that it was the oversight of his agency that ensured LedgerX was insulated from the failure of other FTX firms. From what you've seen, what protected LedgerX from the failures of the broader FTX ecosystem, and what could U.S. regulators, including the SEC, have done to protect Americans using FTX US?
Certainly, we believe LedgerX, it is a regulated entity and it is solvent, and the customer accounts are segregated, and obviously that goes a long way to protecting customers.
Do you believe that Mr. Bankman-Fried, when he says that all FTX US users will receive a dollar on the dollar return of funds at the end of these bankruptcy proceedings?
That's very speculative at this point.
What are some of the biggest questions you still have for Mr. Bankman-Fried and his associates, now that you've been through this for some period?
Look, I think the questions we have are not necessarily a question for Mr. Fried. The questions we have are, where are the assets? How we locate those assets? It's a mining exercise at this point. Look, at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to recover all the losses here, right? Money was spent that will never get back. There will be losses on the international side. We're hopeful on the U.S. side. He'll answer to others related to what happened here. Our job is just to, find the assets and try to get customers their money back as quickly as possible.
When do you expect that to be?
It's these bankruptcies take time. The assets will take time to locate. The process will, as I say, will take months, not weeks. But we try to do this in the most expeditious way possible.
Thank you for being here. I yield back.